Nana's thinking of you. I have rainbow fish, Spike, and the substitute. We read about rainbow fish before, haven't we? This is Spike and the substitute. Spike and Rainbow Fish raced to school. Today was the best day of the week. It was show and tell day. There they are. Spike and Rainbow Fish. All the fish in Miss Cuddle's class loved show and tell. It was a chance to share their treasures with their friends. Spike couldn't wait. He'd found something extra special to show his friends. It was a piece of coral shaped like a fish. Look at that. Look at that. Piece of coral shaped like a fish. It's kind of exciting. You find rocks that are shaped like special things, don't you? Attention, Miss Cuddle called. It's time to settle down and start our day. Everyone did. Spike did his best to listen, but all he could think about was that his great piece of coral. He just could not wait to show it off. There he is, thinking about it. That's the teacher. So Spike is having a hard time paying attention. Quietly, Spike picked up his piece of coral and showed it to Rainbow Fish. Soon, the two little fish forgot all about Miss Cuddle's lesson. Spike, said Miss Cuddle, please put that away. We have work to do. Spike quickly put the coral away. There they are talking about the coral, and there's the teacher getting after him for not paying attention. Has that ever happened to you? It's hard to pay attention? Sometimes. It happens to all of us. Paying attention was not easy. Spike could not resist taking out his coral again. Spike, you'll have to wait for show and tell like everyone else, said Miss Cuddle. You better be careful, said Rainbow Fish. Miss Cuddle only gives 3 chances. You do not want your coral to end up in the treasure chest. I wonder what that means. What happens if it ends up in the treasure chest? I don't know. Spike knew this was true, but just before recess, Spike thought to himself, Miss Cuddle will not mind if I take a quick look at my coral. But Miss Cuddle did mind. Spike, you know the rules. This is the 3rd time that I have had to ask you to put that away. Now your treasure goes in the treasure chest. Uh-oh. The rest of the day passed very slowly for Spike. He listened to the other students talk about their treasures. Spike wanted his coral back. He wasn't sad, he was mad. Later, Spike told Rainbow Fish, Miss Cuddle is mean. That was not fair. I wish she was not our teacher. Be careful what you wish for, warned Rainbow Fish. That is true. Be careful what you wish for. The next morning, Spike found Mrs. Kravitz in their cave classroom. All the fish began to talk at once. Why is Miss Kravitz here? Asked Rosie. Where's Miss Cuddle? Rainbow Fish asked. There's Mrs. Kravitz. So she's a substitute teacher. Mrs. Kravitz cleared her throat. Settle down, settle down. Miss Cuddle is out sick. I will be your teacher today. I expect you all to behave, she said. Everyone was sad that Miss Cuddle was sick. Everyone but Spike. He was still mad. Mrs. Kravitz quickly got the class settled down and ready for work, but she wasn't like Miss Cuddle. Mrs. Kravitz was very strict. Mrs. Kravitz yelled all day long. School was not much fun without Miss Cuddle. The class missed their teacher. Substitutes always do things differently, don't they? Because they're a different person. And it's hard to get used to somebody else when you're used to a teacher. Spike began to miss his teacher too. He wondered if Miss Cuddle had stayed home because he had misbehaved. The more Spike thought about it, the worse he felt. When the class lined up for recess, Spike was so upset that he swam into a corner by himself. "I'm not going," he said. "You can't make me." Spike swam into that corner by himself. What do you think Mrs. Kravitz is going to do? I don't know. "If you want to be alone, that's fine, but you still have to come outside," said Mrs. Kravitz. Spike knew he had to listen to Mrs. Kravitz, so he followed her out to the shipwreck. That must be where they have recess. Be kind of fun to explore a shipwreck, wouldn't it? "You can build a sculpture while you are all over here all by yourself," said Mrs. Kravitz as she gathered rocks, shells, and seaweed. "When I need time to think, I build sculptures," said Mrs. Kravitz. Her pile quickly turned into a beautiful sculpture. Spike decided to make his own. That's good to have something that you like to do when you need to be alone. Mrs. Kravitz likes to build sculptures. The rest of the day passed quickly for Spike. At the end of the lesson, Spike stayed behind. He told Mrs. Kravitz he was sorry for misbehaving. The next morning, Spike was happy to see Miss Cuddle back at school. Only one thing worried him. Did Miss Kravitz tell her that he had misbehaved? What do you think? Do you think a substitute teacher would tell the real teacher? I don't know. Miss Cuddle swam over to Spike and said, "Mrs. Kravitz told me about your sculpture. Would you like to share it at show and tell?" "You bet," said Spike. "I knew you would miss Miss Cuddle," Rainbow Fish said. So getting a substitute teacher wasn't all Spike had anticipated. Didn't turn out as good as he'd hoped. Thanks for listening. I love you guys. Mwah.